All right, guys, welcome back to the Accelerate Your Life podcast. I am your host, Mallory, as hopefully many of you guys know by now, but I am joined by someone super special today. I'm really excited for this guest episode. I'm joined by my good friend and just wonderful human, Kat Macomson. And I will let her intro herself here a little bit in a second, but I do just want to say, to start off, that I'm really excited for today's episode because Kat is somebody that I look up to a lot. And before we dive into what I'm going to talk about today, because I do think Kat has a really, really inspirational and just really cool viewpoint on life and like how to look at our roles in our own life. I want to transfer that admiration and trust that I have for her to you guys so that you feel the same and really take her thoughts and stuff to heart. So I could list off a lot of the impressive things that Kat has done and is, and I will. She is a NASM CPT, Pilates instructor, huge hustler and worker. She works harder than most people I know. Podcast host herself, so we'll throw that one out here at the end. And the thing though is I don't think anyone really asks your resume when you get older. It's more about who you are, how you connect with people. And I will say those things are the real reasons I've always looked up to Kat. She's just so happy, full of energy, and you always came off to me as the cool girl. And
Oh my God, shut
cool.
up.
No, I thought I was so cool when freshman year of college. She wanted to be my friend too. So, Kat, I'm really happy to have you here. Welcome, welcome. And I know I just kind of went off about you, but is there anything else that you just want the people to know before we dive in?
Okay, I have two questions. Well, one, let me preface with I'm very nervous. Two, am I allowed to cuss on here?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, because I'm nervous, I'm going to cuss more than I would usually. But I guess I would say those things about me. I'm so honored. That means a lot to me. I look up to Mallory more than anyone will know. Yeah, everything she says is true. I'm an ASM CPT. I am a Pilates instructor. I'm currently getting certified to teach yoga, which I'm really excited
Oh,
about.
okay.
I know. I have a platform on Instagram and TikTok just giving silly little fit tips here and there. And my background in fitness starts from my sweet toxic relationship with my eating disorder. We can talk about that later. I also have a podcast and yeah, I bartend a little on the sides and then I'll have like a full-time job. This sounds a little chaotic. You don't have to
That's what
this
I'm
with me.
saying. She's the biggest hustler and hard worker I know. Like she's doing all the things.
Yeah, I just said that out loud. I was like, that sounds a little bit insane, but it's because I have a lot of free time right now, and we'll get into that as well. I'm just
Well,
really happy to be here.
yeah, oh shoot, I should put my phone on do not disturb. Good reminder to myself. I know we just got a buzz there. Yeah, I think that I mean the reason I think we're friends and attract kind of the people in our lives that we are is because we are insane. We are hustlers. We are people like trying to achieve, a lot of success, which is kind of going to tie into what we have to talk about today. But yeah, just happy to have you here. And I think it's going to be a great, you have a very unique viewpoint on just again, like I said, the role that I think we have in our own lives and a cool lens to look through. And we're going to talk about that. But I have decided that I want to start off all my guest episodes asking people the same question. So I did this yesterday with my other guests. We're going to do it with you. So this is the
Okay.
Accelerate Your Life podcast. It's all about, improving your life and just being positive, trying to find the best in life. So I want to ask all my guests, what is one thing that you love about life right now?
Oh my God. What I so I'm married or I'm not yet. I'm getting married to a man who's in the army. And what I love about life right now is that he's getting home in 4 days and I haven't seen him in like 6 months.
Ah,
So every day I wake up, I feel like it's Christmas. And
let's go.
I love that about life right now. I've always loved there's two sunsets and Peyton, and that's it. So
All
the
right. I
short.
mean, I think that's a pretty good short list. So I love it. I'm so excited to see you guys' reunion. You should make one of the videos that's gonna make me cry. That's like the
I,
one thing that makes everyone cry is the military reunion
okay, so
videos.
the hard part is he's very like quiet about the military stuff. I wanted to make a TikTok, a sentimental little countdown, and he says, "Cat, absolutely not. We're not doing that. Do not run to me. Do not no." So alpha male,
I
you
think
know?
you should do it anyway because what's he gonna do? Not let you run into his arms when you run up to
Right?
him?
Yeah, that's it. It's fine.
All right. Well, speaking of things that you love about life, I alluded a little bit earlier to a viewpoint you have, and that is the idea of just being the CEO of your own life. And I think that trickles into the mindset frame of, you've talked about, so she did her own podcast episode, which I will link that episode below in the show notes, of what it means to be the CEO of your own life, because it also trickled into, being the COO, the CFO, and like just a really cool mindset frame around how to take control of these different aspects of your life that can sometimes cause a lot of people stress, but just a very cool positive lens. So your podcast episode about it, I obsessed. I thought it was so creative. This could be a very long answer that you kind of take off the cuff here, but can you just break down this mindset frame for us and what it means to be CEO of your own life?
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds when you look at it from far away, I'm calling it the CEO mindset. It sounds like something that someone would shout on a stage to a bunch of people who have spent money on tickets to listen to a motivational speaker, and I don't mean it that way at all. But to give background, like I said, my fiance deployed 6 months ago, and the first 2 months that he was gone, I just kind of lost my shit. Like I lost who I was. I was depressed. Let's call it what it is. Like I was really sad and I was really bogged down by all the shit that you have to do day to day. Like not the cool stuff, not meetings at work, not hanging out with my friends, but the shit. Because right before he left, we had closed on a house. So we moved into a house. We got engaged, which was so fun. But then right after he left, and it was a pile of shit given to me that didn't seem meaningful at all that I just needed to figure out. And then the mind fuck that you have with that is you have all this meaningless shit in front of you that's supposed to be good and you're supposed to be excited about painting the walls and I don't know, building a fucking fence. I have no idea. I guess people are excited about that. I'm not. But it's stuff to be grateful for. At the same time, no one allows us to complain and
Mm-hmm.
say that it sucks because it does. Like our jobs suck. Our paying our bills that we are lucky to have suck. The water that we turn on, it's annoying. So, like I said, 2 months, I just kind of hated my life and was like, poor me. I hate that I have to pay the bills and I have to cut the grass and figure all this shit out by myself. And when that happens and you get in that downward spiral, not only did I not want to do the annoying shit, I didn't want to do the fun stuff. So at that point, I didn't want to see my friends. I didn't want to go to the gym. There was no part of me that wanted to take my supplements. Like I was just down bad. And I don't know what happened. I guess I just woke up one day and was like, who the fuck are you? Like, get up. This is not that heavy. You're gonna see him in 4 months. Everything's okay. And I just created a shift. And at this time, I legitimately had a manic episode and turned on my fit Instagram again, bought a microphone, started a podcast, like within a span of 6 hours. I texted my best friend Rachel and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna start a podcast." And she was like, "Okay, cool." And I sent her a picture of the microphone. I was like, "It's here." And she was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So truly a manic episode. And I recorded my second episode ever and called it You Are the CEO. And I just reframed all the little shit that I had to do that I was the CEO because a CEO makes decisions about things they don't want to make. The CEO preps the office and makes sure it's set up. It takes care of its office building. I told myself that I was the CFO because I was dealing with all of our finances at one time. So when I woke up in the morning and it was the first of the month and I had to pay my car payment and the water and the electricity and then the mortgage was due and everything was so annoying, I just framed it that I'm taking care of my company. And as a corporate gal, I really relate to all of those thoughts. Like I'm the CFO. I'm taking care of our family. I'm taking care of our home. And then as it went down and down, I started aligning all the day-to-day tasks with things that executives in a company would have to do. So for example, the chief operations officer is ensuring that the business moves to speed. It's ensuring that the office is taken care of. It's ensuring that necessary meetings are happening. The chief marketing officer, I work in marketing in my full-time job, so this one really resonated with me. But whenever I was down bad and I would not go see my friends and it was just me in this house, not talking to anyone, I knew that the CMO would not allow the brand of the company to be represented this way. It's important to get market research and spend time with others around you. And it's important to present the brand in a really healthy way. So, is it silly that I made everything about life into corporate America? Yes, maybe. But for me, if I look at things logically versus emotionally, it's a lot easier to make those tangible changes
Mhm.
because if I'm sitting there in all my feelings, I feel very bogged down by them and I can't move. But if I look at it logically, like a fucking spreadsheet of what needs to get done day to day, it's just easier. And then I wasn't depressed anymore because I was a CEO and I wasn't just a sad gal.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's a really long way of explaining it, but yeah.
No, that was perfect. And that was exactly the kind of rant I wanted you to go on. And I think that just turning something that can feel very daunting into, being the CEO has a positive connotation. It has a powerful connotation. So I think being able to flip that in your brain makes a huge difference. Now, when you, at the beginning of that, you were kind of mentioned that, one day you just woke up and decided you were going to make that change. Was it really for you that kind of just, I don't know if random's the right word, but just waking up and it being a spring of a new day? Or was there a moment where you were just like, was there something that spoke to you, something maybe you heard from someone else, or do you remember that exact moment that kind of made that switch flip?
I consume a lot of self-help content daily. But I don't watch TV. I've never watched TV. I have like terrible ADD. I can't focus.
Same.
And yeah, it's not for me.
I'm
So
like, what
I
happened in this
noticed
episode? I was on my phone the whole time. I
no,
forget.
literally, I have no idea. And I noticed that I had watched 4, 5 seasons of Suits in a week, and that's really off brand, and it was scary of me. So as I lay there on my couch on Saturday, like 7 hours just rotting, I was like, "Who the fuck are you? Like, get up, let's go for a walk." And then that's exactly what happened, honestly. The TV is what made
Yeah.
me realize, and I just wasn't feeling good. I have a theory that the more content you consume, the worse you feel, depending on what it is. But if
Yeah.
you sit and your eyes are constantly affected by the blue light, like you have so many opinions coming into you. Everyone needs to minimize content to like 2 hours a day, which I know sounds like a long time, but if you check your screen time,
Look at your
I
screen time.
I know I monitor my content consumption and it's still 4 hours.
Yep.
Like in a perfect world, it's like 30 minutes, but I just noticed I felt like shit. And then I realized I had been sitting. I hadn't gone to the gym in months. I've never told anyone this, but in those 2 months, I gained like 20 pounds, which was wild for me. And I mean, like you can probably tell I didn't post anything. Like I haven't posted anything on social media since he's been gone. And then I did just started posting on my fit Instagram, like, I was down bad. I didn't take pictures either because in my head, it wasn't an opportunity to show my growth. I was
Mm.
just so spirally. And yeah, that was the day. Sorry, long story of telling you I watched TV for a long time and I freaked out.
Well, I think that, and this is something I'm a big believer in, it sounds like this is kind of the threshold point that like hit for you is the only thing that's going to push somebody to all of a sudden flip the switch and make a change is when the pain of being like, or the weight of being in that type of pain outweighs the pain of actually making the change. Cause like it is painful to maybe get up and go to the gym and,
Mhm.
do the hard things. That's painful too. But is like, it's when that is a less pain than continuing to like sit and watch, 7 hours of Suits, although that doesn't sound that painful, but no, I know
No,
what you mean. I know what you mean. And I think that is where, cause I think a lot of people listening, they may be in that spot maybe with their health and fitness or something where they say they want this, but it doesn't happen right away. And you kind of honestly sit in your own shit for a while. I've definitely been there doing that too. And it's just that one day when like finally that's more painful than getting up and making the change.
no,
So
I completely agree. And I get it. It's funny because I say this in all of my classes whenever it's at the end of every single Pilates class. I make everyone hold a plank for a minute. My favorite thing to say is that if this is the hardest thing you have to do today, you're good.
you had a good
Like, this
day.
is not hard. So,
Yeah,
whenever all of the day to day, like the really hard shit, it is nothing compared to like hate, like sitting there,
for
not
sure.
feeling worthy, not feeling lovable, like just do your plank or like
For
go to the gym,
sure.
pay your
Yeah, well,
bills. Yeah.
absolutely. And so when you were kind of going over how you then, dove into this mindset, kind of created this frame of mind, a lot of it was coming from how to deal with the more negative things like having to build a fence and pay your bills and the things we don't look forward to. Is there anything that on the flip side, once you kind of created this mindset and looked at each part of your life that you had to manage, the marketing, the finances, that made it also more positive, like getting to realize like when I'm in control, there's these actually fun things that come with being the CFO, the CMO. Anything that comes to mind?
No, I mean, my whole like life changed. The way I was able as the CEO. This is an example that I use often, that a CEO has a very prescriptive calendar. We're taking advantage of our time. And I truly believe that time is our only resource that
Mm-hmm.
we don't get more of. I have a very abundant mindset when it comes to relationships and money. They're all tools. We can make more of them, but time we cannot. We're not buying any more time. So whenever I was able to truly be the CEO of my life and not be brainwashed by suits and TikTok and allow myself to experience more because am taking charge of my calendar, that was huge. Another one, whenever I told myself I was the CFO and I spent a long time auditing my expenses, because I'm sure people feel this way. When we're down bad, I'm spending money like it's my job, buying shit that I'm not going to wear because I'm not leaving my house. I don't know why I need it. And just back to back to back. There's no reason. So when I was a CFO and I was able to audit my spending and my expenses and prioritize, I was able to look at that expensive gym membership as an investment because we're furthering the business and this will pay in dividends. I'm looking at the shit ton of supplements that I buy every single month as an investment because I'm furthering the business. So that was huge for me too. And then again, like I said, whenever I saw going out and meeting and spending time with friends and people as, getting market research, learning how other people don't feel like shit, knowing that for the human business, as a human, we need community. We need to spend time with other people. That is how we survive in life. If you look at the blue zones, all the blue zones throughout the world, and the blue zones, for people who do not know, they have the longest life expectancy. These people are centurions. They're living until they're 100 plus. Everyone in a blue zone, they rely heavily on community, and that is furthering the business, is extending the life cycle of the business. So whenever I was able to just make that switch of logical versus emotional, it
Mm-hmm.
like helped my life tenfold on seeing things clearly and how I can help myself.
I want to take a lot of those pages out of those books specifically for places where I'm not as good, like finances, for example. It's a place where I don't feel very educated and I can easily get overwhelmed because whether I'm feeling in a place where I feel abundant and like, great, I can spend whatever, or I'm feeling in a place of scarcity where like, oh, maybe I really need to think about that like $6 latte that I'm getting today. It only comes out of a place of emotion and never an actual based on what's in my bank account or understanding like there's no logical analytical side of it. It's just always randomly, am I feeling stressed about money or am I not? And that's just for me, the place that sticks out. But I think like, it sounds like having more of that logical framework on every part is a lot of like it's very anxiety freeing because you're no longer just guessing on what is actually happening in each of those sections.
No, exactly. I got super educated on it too. And I think what is really unfair to us as women is we're not taught that. We're
Mm,
not taught that it's okay to talk about money. We're not taught that it's okay to talk about changes we want to make to our home. There's none of these resources are made for women. Men go to dinner and they're talking about
yep,
stocks and investing, and women are not. They're nothing's marketed towards us. And I'm not saying like poor women, we can do our job, like
totally.
we can learn more and educate ourselves. But I think Peyton being gone too, and while not every deployment's the same, but this one specifically, we talk like maybe 3 minutes a day. So I can't run decisions by
Right.
him. I can't be like, hey, I'm moving X amount into this account because this is what's happening. I just had to be my own guru and decide what would happen. And women, it's not fair. We're like taught to rely on men. We're taught that money is for men, it's not for women. And it was so empowering to be like, no, I'm the CFO. And it's really funny. He'll never listen to this, but I'll tell you guys this. Like, this man asked me if he can spend anything more than $100. And that
We love
feels
it.
good.
Except
And
when he
that
buys a sauna.
no, oh my God, never forget. It turned out it was a bit. We got to
Oh,
cancel. It was a
great.
bit.
Okay.
I know.
Inside
Yeah,
joke, listeners. Inside
yeah,
joke.
no, sorry for anyone listening. The last time I recorded with Mallory, Peyton texted me at the end and was like, I'm so sorry. Please don't be mad at me. I just bought a sauna. And I was like, Mallory, I've got
I
to
was
go
like,
home.
I thought Kat was the CFO here.
No, I lost my shit. And he was like, yeah, it's a joke. And I was like, not a good joke. But yeah, it feels really empowering because I don't know. It's also so hard too. This is a tangent thought, but a lot of content, it depends on what side of social media you're on. And I feel like
For
right now
sure.
it's what side of TikTok you're on, where, you know, women should be more feminine. Like we should leave it to the men.
Hmm.
But I will loudly say I don't believe that. Because what about when they're gone? I need to take care of myself.
We could veer this conversation full over onto that. Wasn't a route I was planning to go, but we definitely could. I will say,
Sorry.
I don't know. I see this is a place that I've been struggling with as well because I don't even know if it depends on the side of TikTok or Instagram you're on. I think it just may be a very trendy topic that's kind of coming up everywhere, the feminine versus masculine energy. And it's definitely something I've been personally struggling with because it seems to be being pushed. And honestly, I'll just say that too, like a lot of my friends in the area I'm living now, like they definitely are into that kind of dichotomy and like a lot of, leaning into more of the feminine. And I see a lot of places where I could probably benefit from that, but I have worked really hard to become, I think, somebody who's not afraid to speak up and like confident in myself. And now I feel in some ways that's kind of dulling it. And it's very challenging to navigate, especially being somebody personally for me who's like navigating the dating scene too. And that's like a big polar kind of play in that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you even want to share kind of your thoughts on that, or I guess we kind of just did, but yeah, I don't really have many thoughts beyond just it's confusing to be quite
I think
honest.
it's really confusing, and I think it's a personal preference.
Mhm.
There are going to be people that really lean into their soft feminine energy, and then there are going to be people like me that are very decision driven,
Yeah.
and I am masculine. I know I'm masculine. All my
Yeah.
friends tell me that. Like I'm aware and I'm not ashamed of that because there are other sides of me that are feminine too. It doesn't make me any less of a woman. I'm just a strong woman and I can take care of myself. I love Peyton, but he adds to me. He does
Yes.
not complete me. I'm good. Like
I,
if he was gone,
that's
then I'm okay.
that's very much I think how I operate too, and like in some ways I've been questioning, is that wrong? And I think that is it's I don't know, it's just important to figure out like who you are, and everybody's different. And yeah, I think there's sides of me that like can be a little bit more into that feminine role and wants to. I mean, I am running my business all day, like I'd like to not have to run the household maybe at some point, but I'm also never going to lose that energy of being a decision maker, being a leader. Like that's just who we are. So I feel like we could do a whole nother podcast episode, and I think let's note that down. We can do that in
Yeah,
the
let me know. I'm
future.
down. I could talk about
Um,
this for hours. It's
yeah.
tough. It's
But
hard for the girls.
to circle back before we get off the topic of it being tough for women, do you have any for somebody listening to this who's like, I love this mindset, but I don't even know how to become to be the CFO or CEO? What do these terms even mean? Like, do you have any resources that kind of have taught you how to be more knowledgeable and feel confident in kind of this new frame of mind?
So I'm going to make an assumption, which I know is assuming is not good, but I'm going to assume that 90% of listeners have a job and they're working for a business. What I did was I audited my life and everything that I do. I don't have the notebook with me, but I literally wrote down in a notebook everything that's bothering me. And then I drew a little arrow and said what part of the business it aligns with.
Love that.
And regardless on if I can apply this to my gym that I work for, the Pilates studio that I work for, there's still someone like revenue comes in and out. Someone's still paying the bills. I'm still my own personal business. They're still marketing the studio. No, if you look at it as a business, and this doesn't because there's good things in business too. Like there's celebratory dinners,
Yep.
there's expense accounts. It's so helpful for me to just make it very logical. And then specifically to money, whenever you're able to detach yourself from money and you see it as a tool, like a business sees it as a tool. For example, the $6 latte that you said, and you're sitting there and you tie emotion to it and you feel really guilty. My corporation is not batting an eye when they throw $600,000 to be spent in a day for an investment for 600 coffees to give to someone, because it's marketing, because it's fueling the business. It's you just make that switch and you remove the emotion to it. I think it's super helpful. And the easiest way, I have to write everything down, but I literally just took a piece of paper and put paying water bill, taking myself to coffee, painting a wall, and decided what it was tied to. And it was so helpful for me.
I love that. That is a very cool way to look at things. And I'm going to steal that practice myself. And I just think that's probably a good exercise that a lot of people can do. If you're feeling more of a glass half empty type of person, like a little bit pessimistic about some of the things maybe going on, this could be a really, I don't know, great frame of reference. I want to take this one other direction before we finish up. This was something that popped in my head earlier when you were talking about being the CMO, the marketing side of things, looking at, your brand and making sure that you were being a social person and being represented the way you wanted people to be seen. I'm curious because I know you made the comeback on social media and everything. I think an interesting thing that I always struggle with as well, being having to have a presence on social media, is the fine line between making your brand look positive, you as a person, marketing and making sure that it is a good, again, brand, versus when you're also maybe not feeling quite that way, right? And the dichotomy between like being coming off as quote unquote fake and not being representative of how you're actually feeling, but also what marketing truly is, putting your best self forward. So is that something you've struggled with at all? And if so, how have you kind of navigated that?
Yes.
Hopefully that
And
question
so
made sense.
no, this is super helpful, and I think it's applicable to a lot of different facets. So let's take it in the corporate route because I literally work in marketing. The authenticity is the name of the game. And I think
Mhm.
that is for huge corporations. I think it's for someone who works in the social media space, individual creators, and in your day to day, it's important for building relationships.
Mhm.
No one's going to trust you if you're good all the time. I don't trust anyone that is like absolutely happy all the time. There's something fucking wrong with them. We've all got shit.
Oh
And
yeah.
that doesn't mean you go up to every single person and you're like, "Oh my god, you won't believe what happened today," and you put all your business out there. But I think to further form and deepen relationships, it's important to be authentic and be able to open up to others. It's funny, I'm having this conversation separately with I our generation is a lot better at doing it, and we're finally making it okay to say that I'm not okay,
Mhm.
which is so nice. I appreciate that so much in life in general, but I've been trying to explain this to my parents because unfortunately the way that they were raised, everything's okay. Nothing's wrong.
Mhm.
We sweep it under the rug, and my thought pattern that I want to get to them is that the more you can open up to others, the more they see you as a real human being and you're more likely to be trusted. So you're furthering that relationship. So that's what I think personally. In social media, I get the best response when I'm authentic with my people. When I pop on and I'm like, I'm so hungover, I'm freaking the fuck out because I had 18 drinks last night. Does anyone else feel bad? And then I'll get like all these DMs saying, "Oh my god, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it." And I'm like, "I love you. Thank you. Can we all freak out together?" It just feels really good. And then similarly with a corporation that says, "Oh shit, we fucked up on this ad," like, and they make a little bit about it and create a new social media ad that says, "Actually, see, you can trust us because we told you that it all ties together." So I think authenticity is really overplayed in marketing in general, but it's important. And when you're able to be authentic with your audience, but then also your peers, that's when you feel that release of getting to share the human connection with one another. Cause I mean, that's what we're all here for, you know?
I could not agree more. And I think that that's something I've tried really hard to do from the beginning of me creating, Mal's Fit and Foods. But it can be tough sometimes too, because you feel like you're not going to be well received or nobody wants to put their, worst self out there. And I've seen a lot of people obviously not be authentic, but I think you using that word was such a great way to put it. And like, I think success does come from authenticity. And I think a big takeaway from everything you just said is when you are like struggling and feeling like you're not in the position to go quote unquote market yourself to your friends, right? Or to your family. And I think that's the most important time to realize that that's being authentic, and the right people like will support that. And so even if you're struggling and you are feeling like you don't want to do any of these things, your role as the CMO, right, is to go even if it's not positive in that moment, go put yourself out there and get that support from people, as long as if I'm hearing you correctly.
No, I agree completely. And I think something that we're not great at as human beings is wanting the quick fix to everything when in reality it's consistency. And you need to consistently show up and be there in your personal relationships because that's what's going to give you the greater return on investment versus only showing up when you're feeling great or only showing up when you feel like you can support. So I think obviously consistency can be applied to everything. You can't get a quick fix in your weight loss journey. You can't get a quick fix in your career growth, but in your personal relationships too, it's all about being consistent. Because I'm going to call the dependable friend 9 times out of 10 before I call the fair weather guy who's only there every once in a while.
For sure. Okay. Well, Kat, I have a request. I think you need to write a book on being the
Oh my
CEO of
God.
your life. I think this needs to be a book. I think it would be a best-selling book. Seriously, it is. When I heard that for that podcast, I was like, this is so unique. This is such a good frame of mind. It's so applicable. And I think a lot of people, especially women, can feel just empowered by it. And you know what? F the little feminine, masculine, whatever. I'm not saying it's a bad frame, but I think for some people, they could use a little bit more of this like masculine energy type of mindset. So I think you should write a book. But thank
Oh,
you so much for coming on today. I think this was such a great conversation. I would love for you to just tell the people where they can find you and anything else you want to wrap up with before we send them out.
oh my God, lovely. Thank you. This was so fun. Let's do another one. I have so many things to say.
Catch me and Kat
Um,
just only having episodes back to back
No,
to back to back
literally,
together.
I swear they'll be good. Listen, guys. Okay, you can find me at @catmac_fit FIT on Instagram and TikTok. My podcast is available on anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's My Brain Hurts because my brain does hurt. And yeah, that's all. My DMs are always open. If you're ever bogged down and not feeling too hot, like please hit me with it because I'm sure I feel the same way too. So I'm there for you. But this was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Amazing. And I will link those handles and the podcast and the specific podcast episode that this is based on down below. Thanks again, Kat. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Woo.